Welcome to Beyond the Limelight, our first podcast out of a great series that we have planned. My name is Vince. I am the owner of MasterFX. Today I have with me Ryan Burkett, is MasterFX Marketing Director.
How's it going, everyone?
And we're lucky enough to have Steve Kristof of
Hey, that's me.
Realm of Terror Haunted House, as well as 62 Escape Rooms.
Yep.
The whole point of Beyond the Limelight podcast is to, shine some light on the masterminds of the entertainment industry, and kind of go through MasterFX's customers, our friends, our colleagues, and just anyone who's in the industry that makes a difference to make our lives better when it comes to entertainment. So without further ado, Steve.
Yes.
I think you're the first customer when MasterFX was Master Fog.
Master Fog. I still call you Master Fog. I can't get over it. It's deeply ingrained in my life. So
for the listeners that don't know, MasterFX was Master Fog, I think 6 years ago.
Has it been that long?
I think
4.
So. 4 years ago.
4.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds more right to me.
So long story short, Master Fog started making fog fluid, which I started making fog fluid basically out of my parents' garage, and decided to start a business because I really loved entertainment and haunted houses, and I felt like there was a lack of fog fluid that was good quality, and I was an 18-year-old kid with a dream, and I called Steve Kristof from Realm of Terror Haunted House. So can you kind of go in depth?
Yeah, so, little did I know that, door-to-door fog salesmen were a thing, but I learned that year, and that must have been, 10 years ago now?
I think
I don't know. When?
It would be 10 years.
Yeah, okay, great.
Because the business is only MasterFX is 9 years old.
Okay.
And I was basically selling before I started the business.
Sure, so we'll call it 10.
We'll call it 10 years.
Love 10. So it was right at the beginning of the season, probably a week ago today. I was testing fog machines when you called. So I remember sitting there and I was like getting everything geared up for our season. We've got probably 20 fog machines all laid out, ready to go, testing them, making sure they work because, we run them through the ringer and, we're basically
haunted houses run fog machines through the ringer?
This is news to me.
Well, you may not know this, but I don't take very good care of my equipment, which is, it speaks volumes for your stuff too, because since I switched to the Prodigy from the machines I used to use, I haven't replaced a fogger since. So there's that. But anyway, going back to it, I'm testing all the fog machines. I've got 10 broken ones, 5 ones that work, and 5 that half work. And it's just a permanent, half fog machine. It's great. And the haunted house phone rings. I'm like, okay, Realm of Terror Haunted House. Yeah, hi, this is Vince. I'm with Master Fog. What fog fluids do you use? And I was like, I don't know. And I get this call, out of the blue, somebody trying to sell me fog juice, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy to try it. I don't know your product. Have I ever seen it before? You're like, no, we're pretty new to the market. I can bring some out to you. When are you available? I was like, I don't know. I'm here all the time. You're like, okay, well, I think you came out the same day or the next day. It was. He was like,
I was eager out of my 1993 Buick LeSabre selling fog fluid out of my trunk. I was everywhere in that thing. So.
Yeah. Well, you showed up. I think it was nighttime even. You showed up at 9 o'clock at night. And I pulled a fogger out, dumped whatever fluid was in it on the ground, filled it up with probably the revision 1 of code 6 at the time.
Was there a label on the bottle?
Doubtful.
No, there wasn't.
I couldn't possibly remember that, but it seems doubtful.
Well, because that goes into our next theme here, which I ended up hiring you to.
Yeah, well, at the time, you know what? It did have a label.
It did have a label. We're going to flash on the video what the first Code 6 label was, because I was just at a haunted house a couple weeks ago, and I saw some in the corner, and I'm like, can I have that gallon?
The Code 6?
It looks like it does say that, yeah. But I think I designed it in PowerPoint.
Yeah, probably it was like word art.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I used like Google imagery. It was really bad. Anyway,
So,
hey,
but you know what? We put it in the machine. I was like, well, looks like fog fluid, and I need fog fluid, so let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, at the time, it lingered longer than the competing product that I was using. That was the whole criteria. I was like, if it's just as good or better, I'll buy it. If it's the same price, why not, right? And it was better, and we've used your product since.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you know.
But so, and I just never forget. I was living at my parents' house at the time because I think I was 19 years
hold
old.
on. I'm going to stop you.
Yes.
Can I have a donut? They're sitting here. So we've got these donuts.
They're
Can I have a
just
donut?
staring at
You
us.
can't have a donut.
Because
You can smell
Here.
them. They're so fresh.
So
Yeah,
wait,
so-
we'll pause real quick. These are Dimples Donuts, Batavia, Illinois. Best donut, just best classic donut shop. No fancy bacon bits, weird, patterns.
So wait, people put bacon bits on donuts. I don't think I've ever had weird donuts.
Then
So these don't have bacon bits.
No
right?
bacon
Okay, 'cause
bits.
That's what
it's
I'm
not
into.
necessary.
classic.
I'm gonna go classic glazed.
Do it.
Is that cool?
Yeah, grab her. Rye, what are we doing?
Oh, that's a big old thing in the middle. That's too much.
That's a bear claw.
It's a bear claw. Okay.
So that's
What
that.
about that cinnamon jobber
That's pumpkin, I think.
or a pumpkin? That's what I meant.
Here we
I
go.
might have made the wrong
I'm
choice.
doing classic
all right.
sprinkled. Give her a shot. Go ahead.
Oh, do you want me to eat it straight into the mic? That way everybody can really get a full...
ASMR.
So I was so excited. I was like living at my parents. I'm like, I sold, and they're like, what the? You're not going to make a living selling fog fluid. I mean, yeah, they were supportive, but at the same time, kind of like, okay, this is a fun hobby. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, so ever since then, I was basically a salesman from my parents' kitchen table, a door-to-door fog fluid salesman. Called every haunted house in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, anywhere I could actually drive to and actually make it to multiple stops. So then I needed a logo, and Steve, and we're gonna put up the first Master Fog logo, and this is Steve's creation of Master Fog.
So there it is. Well, you gave me a specific set of criteria, which was like I wanted to say Master Fog, and it'd be really cool if Master was like in the shape of a fog machine, and like at the bottom I want to put my really terrible slogan. And
It wasn't a terrible slogan. It worked great. As the brand grew, we obviously needed to change the slogan, but put this in your machine and smoke it. To this day, I think I still have people with vintage Master Fog shirts that like wear them to trade shows and stuff, and like, look what I got.
Vintage Master Fog shirts.
If you have one, you get 20% off your next order.
Oh wow.
Wow, that's a coupon code right there.
20% off your next order if you have a vintage. It has to say, I think it's stick this in your machine and smoke
I think
it.
it was stick this in your
So
machine.
you just use the promo code "stick this in your machine" and smoke it at checkout.
It's a long. Will your coupon code accept a 50-character long coupon code?
We're about to find out.
All right.
So
this is when we find out it doesn't work.
So there's a history with Steve and I and Master Fog and MasterFX. But I'd like to go back in history for Steve Kristof. You've done a lot, at a very young age to now. Kind of give us a history of how you started in the entertainment business, what motivated you to start the haunted house. The haunted house was the first thing you did, right?
Me personally, yeah.
Okay.
But so my family's rooted in the more broader sense entertainment industry, like family entertainment, amusement park industry. So I grew up whole life in a family entertainment center, bowling, miniature golf, go-karts, batting cages, all that stuff. My family's owned that since 1974. They turned it into a full-fledged fun center in the late 80s.
So you basically lived where every child would want your life as a child.
In theory. So yeah, we literally lived at the business. So I grew up in the industry, literally in it.
So wait, hold on. I'm going to pause you there. You grew up, like your home
was above it. So like some people have a backyard. I had a back parking lot.
Well, no, you had a mini golf course.
That's the side yard.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you took the dog for walks. Okay. I mean,
What was the front yard?
Also a parking lot.
So what's the name of the family entertainment center?
It's Kristof's Entertainment Center.
And still in business today.
To the day.
Okay.
Yep. So it survived so
Wow.
far. So no, we're actually doing great coming out of everything. But anyway, so I grew up in that world. Getting into about year 2000 or so. We started getting catalogs, like the old Don Post haunted house catalogs, the old Morris Costumes catalogs. Like, you know, you get all this different stuff. And at the time, it was people trying to sell you, like, tent haunts for your fun center and stuff like that. And it, like, you know.
So how old are you?
Heyday. I'm, like, 10, 11 years old at the time.
So you're like seeing these magazines and you're just...
I loved them. It was
interest.
awesome. It was the coolest
so
thing.
Much interest.
And then we started, you know, going to haunted houses, and I got really just into haunted houses and started researching haunted houses. And at, you know, 12 years old, started to put together a business plan for how to present to my dad and my uncle that I want to open a haunted house at Kristof's.
12 years old.
12 years old. Put together the business plan, kind of a feasibility analysis, and legitimately, like, yeah, honestly,
I didn't even know
literally
what that meant at 12 years old.
What?
I couldn't even spell that at 12 years old.
So we, I spent like the whole year. That's all I did. Like, and it's fun. You can, there's people who are still in the industry today who we worked with that first year, who they're like, yeah, I don't know. We got this call from like some kid who, you know, now it turns out to be you. But I mean, I'm like some 12-year-old kid calling Halloween companies, like, you know, asking about props and manufacturing and what we need to buy and how we need to build it. You know.
So what, you know, back then, you know, obviously the haunt industry has grown quite a bit since back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back then you had to make most of your props. Right?
Yeah, so we bought, so when we first opened, we bought a used haunted house from a company that built haunted houses. But, you know, it wasn't like great.
Gotcha.
Like it was even, you know, it was a lot of homemade stuff, but to us, I mean, these were animatronics and props and things, and there's like, you know, nostalgia pieces that I still have laying around, like in the back of a semi-trailer, you know, a raccoon sleeps in it kind of thing. But I have it, and I have a hard time throwing some of that stuff away. But anyway, put it all together, put it on paper, said, this is what I want to do. This is where we can buy the stuff from. This is who's going to help us build it. And this is where I want to put it. And they were like, well, shit, okay. So that's kind of the legacy of it. We opened, our first year was 2003.
And you're 12 years old.
I was 13.
Okay.
By the time we opened, I was 13. You know, if you know or don't know, obviously haunted houses, like any event, take a ton of time to plan and everything else. So, you know, the year previous, I was planning it. And then I turned 13 the month before we opened in September. So,
Was it always called Realm of Terror?
It was since the very beginning. It's always been Realm of Terror. We've always been Rot. 18 years this year of doing that haunted house, which is crazy. Like now, it's the last 2 years have been particularly weird for me because, like, you know, we hired, you know, some kids who are like 16, 17 years old, and they've been alive less time than the haunted houses existed.
Yeah.
So like I'm hiring these kids and they're like, yeah, I've always wanted to do this. And like the realization of like, yeah, it's, if you've lived in this area, like it's possible that you've always wanted to do this.
That's awesome.
That's pretty crazy. It's a really weird thing.
You know, just going through to Realm of Terror. I mean, Realm of Terror Haunted House, it's a popular haunted house in Illinois. It's a hidden gem in the Illinois market of haunted houses. I mean, if you haven't been to Realm of Terror, I mean, you're in for a rude awakening as far as
he emphasized rude for a reason.
Yes. I mean, it is...
It's one of those things that really sticks with you, too. I mean, it was, even from a couple years ago, number 9, number 9. It just repeats over and over in my
So
head.
for the listeners,
That's old.
number 9, like Steve puts these soundtracks together that kind of hypnotize you throughout the haunt, and it's just weird. I mean, I can't even explain it. But let's keep going back. So you're 13.
13. Built the haunted house. It was by no means good, but we did it. We opened. Started to grow. Got it to a certain point, and it was like kind of faltering a bit by like 2005 or so. I think we, ambition was more than our skill set at the time. And Dad and Uncle were like, we're done. We're done with the haunted house. We don't want to do it anymore. Let's stop doing it. And that wasn't acceptable to me. So I just pressed on, and when I was 16, I took it over completely and have operated it, without their direct assistance basically since then. Which seems like not that long ago, but it was an eternity ago. Time goes fast, apparently.
Yeah.
So
16-year-old Steve Kristof, you own a haunted house. In a market back then in haunted houses, like there really was how was competition?
So actually, it's surprisingly our local market was tighter back then than it is now. There was us and probably 3 or 4 other haunted houses all within probably 10 minutes you could drive 10 minutes and get to another haunted house if you just kind of drove in a square kind of thing. Yeah. And since then, haunts have closed or moved or, things like that. As time has gone on, markets change. Fortunately, we've been able to stick that out and really be a fixture in our market, which has been great. So
yeah, well, that means that you're doing good things.
So I'm just unwilling to change. Who knows?
So we come to a point in the show where we want some funny stories, some unique stories. I mean, for how many years? So what is it? How many years have you done Realm of Terror?
I'm still chewing the donut.
Okay.
Hold on.
Speaking of which, I might.
Yeah, what are we doing next?
One? What's that red one you got there?
That's red velvet.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Why do you know? Did you hand select each one?
I hand selected them.
And no strawberry frosting.
You know what's funny? I said, what do you recommend? She's like, I like the strawberry frosting one. And I'm like, oh, I don't think anyone's going to like that one.
It's the first one I looked for.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's like there was 12 donuts here?
12 donuts.
And at least 50% of them are chocolate. And none of the chocolate ones have been touched.
I had a chocolate one, so then.
So more than 50%
Don't
chocolate.
send me next time. How is the red velvet?
It's voluptuous.
All right, so we'll say 20 years in the haunt industry.
18
18
years.
18
operating years.
Give
in the haunt industry.
give me the most bizarre, crazy story that happened one of your nights or one of the setup days. Give me something that sticks out in your brain that you just can't forget about. There has to be something.
Well, the problem, I mean, it's all the things that really stick with you are the technical nightmares, like the back end stuff that nobody else is ever really aware of, but like it just sits in, like it gives you nightmares years later.
And that's what this show is. I really want to focus on, beyond the limelight is, as entertainers and in the entertainment business, no one really knows how much work and research and loss of sleep and hours go into making a show for people that only enjoy it for literally 1% of the time that you put into it.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean when it comes to technical.
Well, so nightmares on that end, this is a few years back. So I know, but if people don't know, our show it's like 50% permanent, 50% temporary. So like a good portion of our show is intense, and our cue line's intense and things like that.
Intense or intense?
Yes.
Inside of tents.
Inside of a temporary structure.
Understood.
But the show is also intense. But So the portion of the show that is in a temporary structure for Vince, who apparently can't follow along. So you're distracted by the. So that was 2 bear claws.
No, one's an apple fritter.
Oh, where'd the apple? Was it under it? So where did that come from?
It just appeared.
I'm gonna have the apple fritter.
Yeah,
that's
highly
mine.
recommend. You should eat this one.
Oh yeah.
Why are you trying to pawn it off on him?
Do you want this? Do you want this?
I don't trust anything that somebody goes, this is really good. You should have half of it.
He's being generous.
No,
I'm trying to watch the consumption.
He's trying to pawn it off on you, man. Don't trust that. So, going back to it, a portion of the show is in temporary structures, and there's a bad storm, like really bad storm. This is a haunted house. So the storm's kind of ambient to it, but it's like hurting numbers, and it's on a really busy night. So we've got like 1,000 people in line. It's freaking pouring. Like people are like huddled together. They're trying to like stay under cover. This is bad, right? Where our queue line is, it's on a concrete pad that slopes towards a drain, and the drain clogs.
Oh no.
So now the queue line is starting to look like the freaking Titanic. It's just like you're watching the water just like start to rise, like, and it's getting bad. Down at the end of the slope, there's like 3 feet of water. I've got guys like waist deep in this thing, like trying to like pull whatever's clogging the drain out. You've got people in the queue line like, my feet are getting wet. We're trying, like, this is all flooding. There's a portion like where it goes from permanent building to temporary structure where there's just water pouring everywhere. It's like a nightmare. So I've got these guys in waist deep water. We're trying to do that. People are complaining that they're getting wet, blah, blah, blah. People are running around. We're trying to get everything done. And then lightning strikes, like, our building.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, like, the radios are going crazy. Everybody's like, we can't get this unplugged, blah, blah, blah. There's guys in waist deep water. Boom, lightning strikes the building. It's freaking loud. And then everything goes silent, right?
Oh, you have customers in the haunt at this point?
And everything goes silent. Literally, we lose all power. Like, the first thing I'm trying to do is find out if I've got people, like, dead in the water because we just got hit by lightning. And they're waist deep in the water. And then we have to, in the middle of this storm, go into, like, full emergency mode and, like, evacuate the show. And then figure out, what do we do with the 1,000 people waiting in line for a show that has no power? Fortunately, we were able to get back up and running, but it fried a bunch of our lighting controllers. We still had sound, but we had no lights. So the rest of the night just was a pitch black haunted house.
Well, classic.
It worked, but I to this day still have nightmares about that.
That is a
that
true
like
nightmare.
I will wake up like sweating, like, oh good, it's only August.
Yeah, that could have gone way worse.
And for a haunted house owner, how many you have 1 month to make as much money as possible, to put on the best show as possible, and then 1 month out of
Yeah, and people, I mean, it like any event, I mean, it costs tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars just to sell your first ticket, you know, just to, I mean, you can certainly do it for cheaper, but to do it right, there's a huge amount of investment, time, labor, energy, all of that, equipment, just to say, we're ready, and I don't know if anybody's coming.
Yeah. So did you have to, were people, what did you learn from that as far as on a customer service aspect or
that day?
Yeah.
Just redundancies. We've since then implemented a ton of redundancies and like backup power systems and things like that to make sure that worst case scenario that can't happen again. So, that's that. Haunted house wise, I mean, if you go down the line, I mean, by the nature of scaring people, there's a million funny, wacky, crazy things that happen. I mean, all of them kind of, you end up with, somebody peed their pants, somebody crapped their pants, like stuff like that. I don't know why, but like just the weird stuff that happens too. Like we had a girl lose a cell phone in a porta potty once, and it turned into a whole thing where like her like boyfriend showed up with a stick and was like rummaging through our porta potties trying to find it. I'm like, even if you found it, what are you gonna do with it?
You're gonna
like,
throw it out.
Yeah.
Just leave it there.
Yeah, just leave it. It's done.
You leave
like
it.
even you don't recover.
Ryan, do you recover or you leave it?
I leave it.
Yeah, I leave it.
There's
it.
no chance I'm
not-
picking a phone out of a porta potty.
Not even like I'd be like, well, that's gone forever.
That
And
goes
I'd
to
just-
show you how phones have literally just you can't live without them.
Yeah.
I was gonna trade it in.
I don't know what you. Yeah. And well, it's probably going to be water damage too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Anyway,
So, but you asked weird, funny
that's
things
a
that
great
happen,
story.
things that stick with you. But yeah,
So I want to switch gears a little bit
Sure.
here. You have a escape room as well. Mm-hmm. How on earth did you get into that?
Really, I mean, the truth of it is, I went to one and loved it. So the escape room industry, while it has ties to the haunted house industry in that they are kind of walk through interactive exhibits that incorporate set design, things like that, they obviously aren't necessarily designed to be scary. There are scary escape rooms, but they're a good escape room should be approachable by mostly anyone. So in 2015, I think we played our first escape room, and I was like, this is amazing. This is so fun. This is just a really, really cool, fun thing. And at the time, it was, 5 years ago, it's not like, it was a real long time ago, but at the time, they were still pretty rudimentary. And still today, venues open that are pretty rudimentary. But we looked at it and went, this is amazing. What we do with the haunted house, our level of set design, our understanding of mechanics and everything else. Plus, we're game people by nature. We just like games. So we're like, we can really make something special here. Something that people are going to really, gravitate towards and resonate with. So we, started looking at properties, ended up in a mall. So we actually do our locations in all large shopping centers. Opened the first room in July 2016. Now we've expanded to 2 locations. Got our Illinois location at Gurney Mills and our Wisconsin location in Southridge Mall in Milwaukee. Both large malls, but just wanted to create something that outside of the haunted house, we wanted to really make something that was fun, unique, and haunted houses have such big, cool effects, cool things. We wanted to take that and make it more approachable to a family audience. You can bring your 9-year-old to an escape room. You could bring your 90-year-old grandma to an escape room.
You cannot bring a 9-year-old to Realm of Terror.
No, I do not.
For the love of God.
Do not recommend.
I mean, it depends on the 9-year-old, right?
No.
It's true. I mean, he was only a couple years off when he started getting into
That's what
this
I'm
stuff.
saying.
So.
That's the other weird thing. It's like I often find myself I try to not pander to children because I remember me being 12 years old and trying to be taken seriously and being frustrated that people wouldn't. So every now and then
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So every now and then I'll happen on I met a kid, I don't know, it was last year, I think, that just talked my ear off, and I just sat and had this totally serious business conversation with a 14-year-old kid because I'm this is what I would have wanted when I was that age. And I mean, ultimately, these kids are the future of our industry, especially the ones that are passionate like that. I don't know.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's a great mentality.
So for your escape room, you design these start to finish. The set design is amazing. I mean, you guys really need to check this out. Definitely.
60 to escape.
Yes, definitely the best escape room I've done.
The apple fritter's really good. Do you want some?
No, I'm good.
You sure?
You want some of mine?
No, I don't want your crappy donut. Do you want some of my apple fritter?
I'll try your apple.
No, you don't get to have any.
Fine.
You said no first.
Whatever.
You can have some. You bought them.
So
you can have.
Where do you draw inspiration from to create these games?
So, obviously, I'm not the only person involved. Stevie, my significant other. She's basically the brains behind everything. She's the puzzle designer. I focus more on the set, the story. She focuses on the puzzles, and then there's usually some marrying of those two that really make it flow well. But when we design a game, we try to create things that are familiar enough that they resonate with you. Like, you inherently have some understanding of what you're walking into, or a feeling of like nostalgia, or something that, like, as a person you're able to grasp onto. It's not so out there that you're like, I don't know what the hell this is. We want you to feel in it, and if you have some level of nostalgia or some built-in feeling towards it, like if it's a heist, right? Everybody's seen a heist movie, so we try and build in those tropes kind of right off the bat, so you go into it knowing, like, these are the things I need to expect, and then we try and kind of spin that around and put our own twist on it later. And I mean, we've got a game, it's a casino, right? It's a casino heist. And we're like, okay, it's a casino, you got to rob it. Everybody's seen Ocean's 11, you know what robbing a casino should look like. You're going to get in, there's going to be some big vault, and you got to get gold or money or whatever, right? So everybody has a built-in feeling of that. And then we go, okay, how do we make it different? The casino's underwater. And you got to blow it up. And during that game, you literally blow up the casino. Like, you're in it, and then it's exploded. And there's some cool fog effects that happen throughout there that have been made possible by excellent fog fluids. But we do those things so that you're able to go in, and you're not just like, okay, what am I doing? You know what you should be doing. And then we change that challenge as you go through it. Or, we'll add humor or things like that. We've got a Haunted Mansion game that, people are like, oh, I don't want to do anything scary. And we're like, you'll be okay. Yeah. And you go into it, and there's like a talking head that, like, cracks jokes as you play the game and things like that. It's super corny, and it's great. Stuff like that.
I think the best thing about, there's a lot of great escape rooms out there, but you're not, when you go to 60 to escape, you're not going to just an escape room. You're choosing between, like, how many different games? How many different rooms do you have in each one?
4 to 6 per location.
So you could you're touching on the senses of whatever anybody wants to do. Mm-hmm. Haunted Mansion. The hotel one. What's the where you have to, like, disengage a bomb before it goes off in the hotel. Yep. So many different personalities throughout your games that I think are great.
And that's one thing we really love about it, is that we're able to, we're not just focusing on, like, okay, it needs to be scary as hell, and that's all it is. We're really able to cater to different tastes, different feelings. We have a scary room. Don't like scary? No problem. Go rob a bank. Go, fix a time machine. Go recover an ancient artifact from a lost temple. There's all kinds of, like, different things that you're able to touch on, and it doesn't cater to just one person. We always have, something.
What's your favorite room?
Tough call. We just built Pirate's Curse, and it's gorgeous. That's in Milwaukee. It's an excellent game. I think it's like trying to pick a favorite child. There's qualities of each one that you like more than the other ones. But I'd say Pirate's Curse probably has one of my favorite sets. The game's massive, and it's super cool. Casino probably has one of my favorite, like, reveals, like, moments in a game. There's a moment in Casino where you just go, like, what just happened? Mystery Manor probably has my favorite aesthetic. I think it's, like, one of our most, like, entertaining games. Hidden Temple feels like the most adventurous, and it just you really feel like you're going through, like, this old temple. You go room to room. There's something about each one that I could be like, but I really like that. So, and I would go back and forth on it all day.
Well, there's a lot of escape rooms. It's a big industry right now. Mm-hmm. What makes 60 to Escape different?
So for us, I mean, we're really focused on the experience. So we're not. I mean, I don't look at it as we're just an escape room. I mean, I treat my facility the same way I would if I was managing an amusement park or a restaurant or anything in between. It's really all about the service as you come in, the experiences you go through it, and the way you feel when you leave. So much so that like when you leave our games, like you win, you get something, like you get to take a piece of the game home with you, because I want to attach that memory to a token, an object, something that when you come home from Disney World, you know, you bought souvenirs, you got your ears or whatever, and you attach that memory to that. I try and do the same thing with all the games. I try and create a memorable moment, something that you as a collective were able to conquer and do together, and then give you something to remember that by. And I really think the overall experience with us is always just super wrapped up in a nice ball that you get to take home, and you have this really cool immersive adventure, and you get to, you know, continue that adventure when you bring part of it home.
That's sweet.
Very cool. So we've talked a little bit about your past. Where do you see the current haunt industry, and where do you see it going?
So we're going back to haunts.
Yeah, we're going back to haunts. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm just kind of back and forth here. Where do you see the haunt industry right now versus where it was 5 years ago versus where it could be 5 years, progression-wise?
Yeah, asking me some loaded questions.
That's the idea.
They saved the big ones for last. I see. So past, present, future. That's what we're doing. We're you know,
obviously
Christmas.
the industry's a lot different than where it is now, and this year's been obviously a bit tough and a bit weird for everybody.
And who knows what this year will do to the industry in general. I mean, that's across any industry. I mean,
So, you know, just if I might, is Realm of Terror? You guys aren't open.
we closed. We pulled the plug in July.
Okay.
We usually, like, once we hit July, that's when we're spending money. Like, before that, we buy props, we buy stuff. None of that expires. Mm-hmm. It's there forever. But once I hit July, is when I start staffing, and we really hit like construction hard. We really start like bringing on additional people and getting the show ready to operate.
So 20 years in the industry, this has got to be what, the first year that you've decided to not go through.
There's never. I mean, the closest we got was in 2005 when or 6, I guess, when my dad and uncle were like,
yeah,
we don't want to do it anymore.
This had to be. I mean, what did you feel? I mean, how
well,
has it been?
You know, it's weird. Yeah. With it not happening, there are things that usually happen every year, like clockwork, that my brain like clicks into place. Like, okay, I hit this time. These are the things that happen. They happen, and it's great. And they're just like not happening for me this year. Like, it's ironic that I'm here today, because usually like today I'm here picking up a giant truckload of fog because I need it for my season. But this is one of those things that like, usually like I make the trip to MasterFog and I go, MasterFX, sorry. I make the trip to MasterFX and I go get my shipment of fog because it's so close, and I got to see Vince. But I do that every year, and if I weren't here for this today, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. And there would be something wrong. There's like when Halloween stores start popping up, or Home Depot starts to, you see like crap up in the rafters, like, oh, Halloween's coming. Like those things, usually I'm like, okay, stuff's in the stores, I got to get on getting my artwork finalized for, you know, print ads. And this year I'm like, well, stuff's in the stores. You know, like there's just mile markers that every year like registers, like I have to do something. And I'll see these things and be like, oh, I don't have anything to do. On one hand, it's nice because just with everything going on in specifically the Illinois market right now, like, I mean, Governor just like a day ago said haunted houses shouldn't be open. Some people are still going to be open. I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have to deal with it, worry about it. It's like, and we saw it coming, right? We back months ago, you know, they didn't say anything specific about haunted houses. We asked, they didn't say anything specific about haunted houses, but like, nobody thinks about haunted houses other than haunted house people until September, you know? So, and like clockwork, September hit and they went, no haunted houses.
Because they have no idea that these,
they don't even,
you guys are working
that
from
you're working on it
summer,
for,
July.
They don't, you know, people don't realize, you know, any event. I mean, a concert, right? The concert comes to Chicago, it's there and it's gone. And nobody, it's like, it happens like magic, right? Yeah. You know, even though, you know, there's been an entire team of people planning it for a year and a half. Yep. Nobody thinks about that. They, you know, the 300 people backstage waiting to set it up, tear it down, move it to the next city. Those people don't exist.
No, it's
just here. You just show up and this stuff's here and then you leave and it's gone. That's how it works. It's, so in that way, we weren't willing to risk the time, the money, you know, everything it takes to put it on just to get to this point and have somebody go, no. Yeah. It wasn't worth it for us to, you know, we wanted to make sure that we're here for another 20 years rather than, you know, risk everything potentially this year. So.
Understood. You know, and through all this, obviously, this year's been hard on everybody in the entire world, in some form or another. But, you know, I feel like, especially at MasterFX, we've learned a whole hell of a lot, just about business, about our customers, about just, you know, appreciating, you know, life in general. What have you learned throughout this whole thing when this all came about?
Again, with the heavy questions, right? Yeah. What have you learned about yourself?
Really? No, it's a serious thing because
I know. It's so it's the thing for us has been identifying where our staying power is, identifying how we can hunker down and move through, you know, the good and bad times. You know, we've never had a year where the haunted house goes total zero, right? Just we went from short of if we were to decide to close it, but we're not closed. We're just temporarily not open. So, you know, identifying where those strengths are, the things that we're able to lean on within our internal community, our actors, our build crew, and be able to say, like, you know, how can we weather the storm? You know, we've been able to identify a lot of new aspects of our business that we've never really had to explore before. You know, it's just the haunted house always happens, but it's been nice to, you know, like, I know for sure we'll be able to open next year compared to, you know, if I were open today, you know, where that could put me on the spectrum, I guess. But, you know, moving outside of that, like with my family's entertainment center, you know, 40 years, you know, they've never had anything like this. I mean, 1974 to now, they've never had to shut down for months at a time. And, you know, that was difficult for them. But, you know, upon reopening, it's been really interesting to see how customer sentiment has changed as well. And to see the types of people in the community that are there to, like, just the people who are there specifically to support you, to keep you alive, to keep you moving, and how grateful people have been. You know, you kind of lose focus of some of that stuff too. Like, you know, I guess in the end, the one thing I've learned is just how important we, as the entertainment industry, are to our communities, whether we realize it or not. Because, you know, historically, you know, people would come and have a good time, and that's what they were there to do. But it's been really interesting to see obviously not at the haunted house, but at the escape room or the fun center, how people will come out and they'll actively seek out someone to say thank you. Like, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this. And we're like, and at first it was weird because nobody ever thanked you that way before, because it's just, that's what we're here to do. We're here to make sure you have fun. We're here to make sure you have a good time. And that's always what it's been. But after that kind of got taken away from people for months, once people were actually able to get back out and go do something, the way they've actually been grateful for it has been a really refreshing thing to see and understand, and really helps put into perspective where our focus should be, and also help verify some of like where our focus has always been, which has been on the customer experience, on the guest experience, so that just in the end, people have a good time. And I don't know, it's just been interesting to see how, or realize how important the entertainment industry is to people at large.
And I think with that being said, when everything opens, it's going to be booming.
It's going to be a party.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
As far as the entertainment side,
for sure.
Concerts, haunted houses, when that time comes, we're going to be even more grateful.
Yeah. And I guess from if you aren't open yet, just take that into consideration, that people want to be at your venues, and make sure they want to continue to be at your venues, because that mentality for us has really worked out well coming out of everything. I think a lot of good will come from what's going on right now. Right now it seems all gloom and doom. The world's ending, and my business is failing, and I'm gone. I'm a goner. A year from now, or 6 months from now, or whenever it is, when things do return to normal, I think a lot of good will come out of this. I think on the business end, companies are going to be, and you see it already, like people are more focused on guest experience, making sure that things happen the way they need to happen, because right now that's how they have to happen, but good habits will be formed out of that. And, on the flip side, on the customer end, these people are actively want what you have, rather than it's like, yeah, it's a concert. I go to 50 concerts a year. Those truly like special moments that come from entertainment, I think are going to be revived again in people.
Absolutely.
Especially in a world where we're so connected to everything. Now once we'll be able to get back into the world, we'll be able to have kind of, it's special again.
Absolutely.
I know I'm looking forward to the next time I can go to a theme park. I love theme parks, and it's like,
we love theme parks too.
And I just look forward to the next time I can go to like an honest to goodness theme park and just enjoy the amenities that they have.
I mean, it's been weird for us too. I mean, around this time, July and August, we're getting ready for theme park season, as far as all the business there. And, we've learned a lot. And I think you nailed it on the head with everything you just said.
Yeah, we've missed a lot of shows, trade shows, things like that. And the time that was supposed to be spent there has been spent kind of reflecting and reevaluating. And
when you say reevaluating, I just, kind of to sum this whole thing up, when all this occurred, we kind of didn't talk about how you switched gears. Entrepreneurs switch gears. It's a nature. Like, we got to do something different. We got to figure something out. Now, you have 60 to escape. Is there anything else you did? Like, what else could we do? How could we switch gears fast to make things, busier?
In regards to
like when you decided to close, was there something that you kind of had to pivot?
Well, for us, I mean, we could have done like at home experiences. A lot of escape rooms were doing like Zoom games and things like that, we felt that it didn't resonate with our brand. Like it didn't deliver the experience that we as a brand prefer to deliver. So for us, it really was about, okay, we're closed. We're going to just do what we need to do, continue to stay where we're at, do everything we can to keep our family, our employees, everybody comfortable, safe, and be ready to be back full force once, we're able to. We really just hit the pause button and focused on, weathering the storm, because we knew, we'd be, as long as we could come out the other side, we'd be okay. And that's where we've been. We didn't shift into like a new market or anything. We didn't necessarily think it would be necessary, but there's been things that, fortunately, in the escape room industry, one of the cool things coming out of the pandemic, now that people at least are able to go to places, with escape rooms in specific, like we're able to really deliver a truly unique private experience for just you. You're not in there with other people. It's not a movie theater where there's 100 other people in the room. It's not a restaurant where there's 100 other people in the room. It's you, the people you brought, and only the people you brought. And when you're done, we physically go in and reset the games. So when, we basically play the game backwards and clean everything that people touch along the way. As far as clean environments are concerned, escape rooms are like,
oh yeah,
top of the list as far as their ability to be cleaned, because by nature of what we were already doing, we already have pretty heavy cleanliness standards as it is. So coming out of it, it was just adding on to that and really making sure that, get every nook and cranny on the thing. And if anything, it's only made the experience better because it has, really brought us to focusing on making it your experience. It's not just resetting the game, it's resetting it so that it's exactly the same group after group,
It's awesome.
So
you're awesome, Steve.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thanks.
this has been awesome.
Yeah. Steve, I mean,
No, I'm Steve Awesome, not Ben Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
you are the
Cut that
real
out.
deal.
Leaving that in.
Steve is the real deal. I mean, your passion has always motivated me. You're one of my best friends. The first customer to my company, and it's been kind of cool to see us grow together over these 10 years. As you find something you're passionate for, you devote all your time and energy to it, and look where you could be in life. So
I guess it's kind of been the theme of this whole thing, but the sentiment is shared there. It's really cool from my perspective, knowing like I met you as you pulled mysterious fluid out of the back of your car at 9:00 at night at my haunted house, and to go from that to be able to like come here to like your new facility. And I mean, this is probably what, 20,000 square feet more?
A little more, yeah.
Yeah. So, to watch you go from Vince with Code 6 in the back of his car to Vince of MasterFX in this, gorgeous facility. You've got offices and employees and people that work here, and good people and great people, and like I've gone with you to trade shows and helped you sell fluid before. I've kind of watched a lot of the good and the bad happen over the years, and it's always really cool. I mean, this is what, your third location, right?
it's our third location.
Yeah. So it's really cool from my perspective, whereas other customers of yours may not be able to see it necessarily, because this is all kind of behind the curtain kind of thing. But like, I come here to pick up my product every time, and other than back when you used to deliver it to me. So, like once a year, I get just my hour-long look into the Master Fog, now MasterFX world, and watching it grow and watching it change and watching it become more professional and bigger and badder and cooler. And I mean, hell, you guys have your own line of machines now. I mean, you're not just a fluid company, you're a manufacturing company. And 10 years ago, you were selling me fog out of your trunk. So to watch that happen and be able to watch it happen, to be able to watch your company grow, to be able to watch you grow and watch the people around you grow with you, has been really incredible for me, and it's really cool for me. And I, even though I'm not directly, I don't have it, I just buy fog from you, but I feel like in some small way,
you're part of the
family. I'm a part of it, and I love coming here. I love seeing you guys. I love seeing what you've built, what you've created, and how it's grown. And it's just a really cool thing to see.
Thank you very much.
So,
that being said, this is Steve Kristof from Realm of Terror, 62 Escape Room. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Oh God, I don't know. That's a very personal question, Vince.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. It's been awesome. We appreciate you being the first guest on the first episode.
Yay.
This is sweet.
I'm actually pissed because first episode, Steve Kristof here for the podcast. We're at the end. I know there's confetti cannons in this goddamn building, and not one bit of confetti went off during this whole thing.
We didn't want to scare you.
Well, I'm upset.
You can't scare him. We'll go out back. And
I think for all
fire
future
one off for you.
guests, just liner notes here. Future guests,
Confetti.
like, we're here with so and so from wherever. Nice little puff of confetti. Be great.
I like that idea.
Be good if you could add some. Just every time, give everybody a little bit of an
Well, here's the
intro.
thing. This is the conference room. Is gonna act as our studio for right now. But if the podcast keeps going, we're gonna probably migrate to upstairs where we have some cool stuff, some special effects.
They'll be built into the ceiling and just shoot down.
Oh yeah, we'll permanent install some upshot foggers coming from the ground.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it would have been nice to get a little more fanfare.
Understood.
That's all. So.
We'll take care of that.
Note taken.
Yes. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you very much.